Well, I think it's time that we start with a catch up and where exactly I've been. So, as you all know, I bought Kirkpatrick Partners last year, and to say it has been both a beautiful and messy year would be an understatement. Little did I know when I went to go buy a company, all of the things I was going to have to also do. And as much as I know that I'm the type of person that can do the most, do a lot, and do all of the things, I also know that I am the person that really values the fact that I am the main parent. And I am the mom and I'm doing the most for my kids. And so this year has felt really hard and really tough for so many different reasons. So let's rewind and go back to the beginning. So I think the last video I did with you all was around July or August of last year, which times perfectly with when I bought Kirkpatrick Partners in 2023. And I mean, last video, I know I did something for Hispanic Heritage Month, but you know. So I bought the company, signed on the paper July 31st, and walked in on August 1st as the new owner and CEO, and inheriting a whole bunch of employees and a whole business that I didn't start. And I knew it was going to be difficult and I knew it was going to be different. And I was really up and ready for the challenge. And truly, it unlocked a whole world of opportunities for me that I didn't even know existed. I started meeting people that I only read about in books or in TD magazine articles or on LinkedIn. And then all of a sudden, I was one of the ones in that same room. Talk about like a mind. And my challenge was that I have felt like such an imposter the entire time. And it has taken a long time for me to realize I am worthy and capable of being in the same room as many of these people that have those 3 extra letters at the end of their name, right? Or those 2 letters in the beginning. Or those that have had L&D companies for years and years and years. And Anchored was only 5 years old at the time. So I went through a lot in a very short amount of time. And it all collided with the beginning of the end of what feels like the buzz of L&D and the buzz of, the L&D economy. And I didn't think I was going to talk about this, but like, here we are. 2023 started a very difficult period for most learning and development companies, agencies, and it has continued throughout 2024. And if you don't think so, look at how many people are, being let go and looking for jobs, right? And so at some point, I started really like hustling and really getting down on myself as to like, why was my business no longer growing? Why were we stagnant? Why were we doing basically the same as the previous year, even though we ended up doing more? But that's how it felt at the time. And I realized that I was now headed into some sort of L&D recession or L&D, I think call it a correction. And it has been very challenging. And there's like things have to happen in threes. There was one more thing that happened during this time that caused me to step away from filming. And that was I lost my love and my sparkle for the industry and for filming and for showing up. It takes a lot of time, energy, money, and all the resources to do this thing. I don't like video editing. I don't like doing that for myself. And so I have to have that outsourced if I want to continue to show up. So that's number one. Number two, I have to find a lot of time to block out to film 3 to 4 pieces in a day, because I really love batching my content. And so over time, I started realizing like I was really putting a lot more emphasis on the views, on the vanity metrics of it all, and also how much money I was spending. And it felt like too much and a lot. And I just needed a break, because I was now in a position where I was not only trying to take meetings for one business, but I was trying to take meetings for 2 and trying to be 100 in both, while also being a very present wife and mother. And it crushed me. This field has always been my love. This type of work has been my love since I was, like 19, 20 years old. And I didn't know what I was doing was learning and development. And to know that I let the business and where I thought I should be at that moment take over my love was really hard. And I just never felt like I could show back up. And I never felt inspired. I never felt called. And I just always felt, I don't know, like who was she? What was the point? Who's paying attention? Turns out that what's wild, which is why I actually, if you're watching this and you are a freelancer of any sort or consultant, highly recommend YouTube. Even though I was away for like a year, people were still finding me and showing up, and there would be comments, and there would be love, and there would still be likes, and there would still be, like my channel still grew, even though I was nowhere to be found. And so it was amazing, right? Like, cause I can't say the same for like any of the other platforms. So that's a really cool, interesting thing that I learned from being on YouTube. So like, highly recommend YouTube for marketing for your business. And I also stopped understanding what was the best content, because the content that I would do, if it was, I don't want to say basic, so I don't want nobody to take offense, but the content that I did was a little bit more entry level, did a lot better than the content I really wanted to be doing, which is a little bit more about business and entrepreneurship and consulting and the stuff that actually matters when you get to that level, right? And so when I wasn't seeing the return on that like that, really, I really struggled with that. So I just stopped. And then, if you know me, you know that I thrive in the summer. So the winter happened and I just kind of went into hustling to update the things at Kirkpatrick, and relishing in all of that came to me because I was now at Kirkpatrick, which, like, by the way, whoever would have thought that me, little old me, would end up in a place where I would be 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon with the grandfather of evaluation, and like with his transparencies that he used to teach, this model in my, previously my basement, now my garage. And all the things that I have now learned about Dawn, Jim, Wendy, and the Kirkpatricks, like, wow. And so I say all that to say, I know this is kind of rambly, so my apologies, but it was really hard for the last year. I didn't feel like myself. But I'm starting to get my mojo back, and I'm starting to get that sparkle back. And I believe that we are called to do things at different times, and things happen when they are meant to and then they are supposed to. Everyone who knows me knows your girl has always wanted to live in Florida, South Florida to be exact. And I tried, I think, 2 or 3 times at least before this year. And it just like never panned out. Didn't want to move away from my parents, and away from my kids, or my kids away from my parents. My kids were little and I really needed my parents' help. My husband just got a new job at Rutgers. So all the reasons not to do it. And then I bought KP and we're vacationing in Florida. And I was like, what if we just got like an apartment or a little place just to like have a home base down here so that I can come, we can come down and I could get some more of this, because like this feeds my soul. And when my soul is fed, I am a better wife, a better mother, a better business owner, a better friend, a better daughter, just a better human. And my husband was like, well, I don't have a remote job. So that kind of stinks. Like, you'd be able to go all the time and I wouldn't. And he just happened to start looking for jobs in South Florida. And he ended up finding a job at Florida Atlantic University and interviewed in October. And then by December, we found out that he was moving to Florida. And he left March of this year. And then before he left, we had to put our house on the market and go through that whole sale process. And I didn't exactly have an easy home to sell. Nor was my home 100% ready to our standards to be sold. But it did. And I had to go through my busiest travel season of my entire life, where I was at DC multiple times. I was at a bunch of different conferences. And I was actually at one point at a 30 days home 10. So, but we ended up moving, and I moved down to South Florida, closed on June 24th. And I got here July 1st at 2 a.m. and walked into my home for the very first time. But ever since then, I've been doing what feeds my soul, which is a daily walk and daily time for myself, and breathing in the humidity, which I know everyone hates. They're like, oh, this is so disgusting. And I'm like, let me be outside. And I actually get mad at my husband and my kids. I'm like, why are you sitting inside? Like, we moved out of Jersey to be outside. Sit outside. But I started finding my sparkle back. And even with like those like mini trips to Florida I would take to like look at houses and stuff, my team, like I'd be here for like a week or so. My team would be like, I love Florida, Vanessa. You really like are on fire in Florida. And I think part of it is my walks help me to remove some of the stress and actually think. And I haven't been able to do that in a long time. So say all this to say, your girl is back. And I'm starting to get that mojo again. I have a really cool place I can come and film and get out of the house a little bit. I think that was also part of it, right? Not being able to leave a house. Not that I'm not able to. It wasn't like, it wasn't a situation there. It's just always, did my filming at home. But I'm really excited for this next phase. At Kirkpatrick, I am done updating the things from the past. And I am now starting new things and new projects and programs. We're talking new books, new curriculum, new opportunities and products. And it is, I mean, I just got back from DC last night with a huge organization talking about how we can automate the 4 levels. And it is going to be industry changing. And for Anchored, I am figuring it out. Trying to find my footing and better of my niche and better of the type of work that I want to be doing. I actually started toying around with calling ourselves the Educational Content Agency because I realized that what some of the things that people were asking us to do wasn't necessarily like employee training, but it was some sort of educational content. So I think that's been an interesting like niche to break into or to think about breaking into. And it's been interesting to think of the types of projects we'd be doing and how it's different from what we currently do. And that, so yeah, that makes me feel very excited and happy. And yet I'm still unsure. The economy still sucks and the projects are not rolling in like they were. We are in the correction of the overhiring of IDs and all that L&D work from COVID. So I think we'll see what happens with Anchored and where we move it. And then I've got a new love because I can only do 100 things at one time. I've got the Armada Learning Network, which you may have heard or seen on my LinkedIn back in January. This is a membership network of organizations that believe in learning, that believe in employee experience, that believe in belonging, and believes that when you help employees be productive, feel like they belong, and give them the opportunity to grow and meet them where they're at, you can actually truly move mountains in an organization and meet your goals. And it is about being a cooperative, right? A collaborative sort of network where we're not competing against each other. You want to go work with, ABC, Educational Content Agency? Please, by all means, they're a partner of ours. You need help with leadership development? We've got that support for you. What I got really tired of was like all this competition and everyone was competing against each other and no one was actually collaborating. It was actually to the detriment of organizations. Like organizations are spending a lot more money than they should be because they keep putting band-aids on things because they meet a vendor in an expo hall at a conference, #DevLearn, and they think that they need it. And maybe they don't. Or they're doing something that is almost counterintuitive to what another solution that was purchased is doing. And it just like is too much. So the part that I didn't say about my 2023 is when June 24th at 6 a.m., I got a phone call from my brother. And that if I get a phone call from my brother, something is going down. And I answered the phone and he said, Mom wants me to conference you in. First of all, him saying that to me, my mom would that's not a thing my mom says. So I'm like, all right, here we go. This is it. My dad had fallen and broken his hip on vacation in Florida. And they were about to send him to surgery. And that started months of insanity. And I was under contract for this new business. And my dad's my lawyer. And my parents are my huge support system. And I'm not going to bore you with the details, but we went through hell. That's why I also met my sparkle too, right? Like, you go through hell, it's really hard. As an owner, You never get the opportunity to just break down because you have to constantly show up for everybody else. I get that. Like, I signed up for that. Oh, and then when I finally was able to fly my dad back from Florida to New Jersey, and I put him back into the hospital, we later found out after he broke his hip, he needed to have spinal cord surgery. Super fun. The day before my dad's surgery, my husband ended up in the hospital as well. So I was literally running between the ER and my dad's room. And my mom would like meet in the middle for coffee. And then like, I would go to my dad, she would go to my husband. It's been wild. But anyway, through all of that, I was like thinking about the network and stuff. And I was like, you know, what would be really cool is if organizations could have an assessment and they could be told, hey, here are the problems that you have. And here are all the people that we recommend. Like when you go to the doctor and you have a network that they work with, because then what I am doing, you know, my specialist can also see, right? And then they can recommend solutions that actually work together as opposed to like two different things that are fighting against each other. Well, so that's what the network is, right? And it's meant to be organizations that are working together to provide solutions. But if you have a vendor or a vendor or, a product that you want to use that's outside of the network, just like in, when you work with doctors and specialists and medical groups, you can go out of network and it's good. You're fine. So that is the idea behind the network, is just to bring people together to help build up L&D and these employee engagement and recruitment agencies, and just like thinking about the whole employee cycle, like all those different solutions that are needed. Like we can all work together and we can be stronger together and we can grow together. And we can work on teaming opportunities. We can go to conferences together, so we're not all spending millions of dollars on a booth. And then we can provide more holistic solutions. So that is what I've been working on quietly behind the scenes. We start seeing more on that. We have a chief strategy officer now who's focused on getting some members in, and we're starting with some founders. And so I'm really excited about that. We've got a recruitment agency that we're partnered with. And yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. The people that I've talked to about it are really impressed and love the idea and want to know more about how they can get involved. So if you want to know how you can get involved, please reach out to me. But otherwise, friends, I'm back. I need to know what you want me to talk about. And I'll be talking about what I want to talk about, but I also need to know what's going to be helpful for you, because it's been a while and I just want to make sure that I'm being of service to all of you all. So your girl is back and ready to do some epic shit. Talk to you soon, friends. Bye.